Alright, so today let's look at one of the most important modules of Athena called the products module. What we're going to attempt to do over the course of this video is to create three products, right? And they are going to be interrelated in this sense. Our goal is to create one core assembled product which is called the Google Pixel 8 Pro, which is the smartphone. And further on, we're going to create two component based products that are related to this Google Pixel 8 Pro. So this means that we're going to map it such that the Google Pixel 8 Pro can only be created by assembling the two subcomponents. Alright, so let's dive into it. So let's go to add a new product. We just select the dummy category that's been presented to us. Dummy product codes. Let's hit we can't add the main product first without getting the components in. So let's see what components we do have. The camera and the chipset. Alright, so we'll go with this. Alright, and just for the image, we'll get this in. The currency we'll put is USD. The rate, maybe, let's say the thing is priced at about $300, the camera itself. The tax code, we can add our own tax codes, of course. For now, it'll be 0A. And the tax types, for now, let's leave it. If you do have tax types based on your country and region, you can add them later and then map them to the products. Alright, so now let's give these things some dimension. So maybe it's centimeters, it's, I don't know, the length would be about 1.5 centimeters, about 6 centimeters or maybe even 8 centimeters wide. The weight is about, let's say, 92 grams. The gross weight, if you want to put it, you can put it. I mean, you just look out for the required fields. Alright, the purchase rate is about $150. When it comes, we can get about 300 pieces per carton. And let's set the reorder at 1000 pieces. That means I always want a minimum of 1000 pieces in my stock. So now the product class, of course, you can add your own classes, right? So that it goes down the tree. There are product classes, product categories, and under that parent product codes. So this is our product class. We can add keywords for search like camera, lens, pro, zoom, portrait. And now every time you search for your product, you can also search for your product using the keywords. Alright, the prefix is kind of an extra feature. It's not really useful, but let's look at how to use it. So what the prefix does is you can insert a word or an emoji or something like that with up to 3 characters before the product's name. So if the product's name is, as we put here, the product code, is Google Pixel 8 Pro camera, what I can do is I can, let me see if I can find an emoji really quickly. Alright, here we go, and let's hit camera, and I hit camera. Okay, so now what's gonna happen is it's gonna be this camera emoji, my product prefix, my product code, and then my product suffix. So let's say I want to put something fancy in my suffix as well, and of course it's completely fine if you leave the suffix blank, and even the prefix can be left blank because they're not marked as required. Alright, so now what we will search for is I don't know what else can be, maybe camera again, and let's take this film emoticon and let's put it over here. Alright, so this is a prefix, this is a suffix. So what is gonna happen is the prefix and the suffix are gonna sandwich the product code between themselves. Alright, so now the product usage type, because as I said, we're still creating the components and then we will create the finished product. So we'll hit assembly component. Alright, we'll submit it. And yeah, there we go. The product has been created. We can look at it and we can look at the title and see how the prefix and suffixes come out. We can go into it edit it, right? Of course, if your team administrators have given you that right, you can edit it. You can also see other details of it. Oh, just a second, accidental reload. Yeah, you can also see other details of it, like its inventory details. If you have up to 2 more warehouses, you can see if there is any uh, stock of this you can probably produce from its components. We'll get to that later. You can see its media, if there are photos, videos, all of that is populated. You have its IDs, the physical details. Essentially, all the details that you entered have now been systematically grouped and provided back to you for future use within future modules. What you can also see over here is, as and when you use this product within Athena, you will also be able to develop product activity logs. Now, in these product activity logs, right, the second you create a product, what Athena did was it created a dummy inventory log, or not a dummy, an opening inventory log with 0 pieces at the warehouse that we chose, right? I mean, our first preferred warehouse. So all it did was, to get us started, it just created an instance of 0 pieces at the warehouse, just to kind of create an opening log. So the next time you were to, after creating the product, if you were to see the inventory, it would show you as 0, because there has been no real other activity to this product. Alright, so now let's get back to it. Now let's quickly create the second component and then use the 2 components to create our final product. Alright, so now let's go here again, Google Tensor G3 chipset. Again, no components for this because it itself is a component, so there's no point mapping other components to a component. Again, we're gonna go with, never mind, no second image, USD as the currency, and maybe $180. Now let's dive into the rates a little bit. So the way the rates are structured is, you have the MRP, which is the maximum retail price, which is your highest price, right? Then you have your discounted rate that you probably give to, well-known customers or suppliers. Below that, you have your alternate rate, which you might be reserving for your big scale customers or even distributors. So that might be even lower. And then so on and so on. So you can enter up to 3 alternate rates that will be, given back to you or your sales team during the module, to help them know how to price a customer. So you can create, I think, up to 5 different price points per product that then your sales or whoever is managing the sale of the product can choose from. So you have your MRP, discounted rate, and then alternate rate 1, 2, and 3. Of course, the only required field is your MRP. Alright, so the tax code, we choose a dummy tax code as usual. Don't touch the tax types for now. And the price modifiers we won't touch as well, but let me explain really quickly what a price modifier is. Let's say I'm selling a product to you for about $100. Now, if I'm selling it to you and I need to ship it to you, I need to impose packing and forwarding charges to you, which is about 5%. Let's assume that for cross-country shipping. So what I would do is that I know that every time I sell my product, I need to impose packing and forwarding charges, right? So every time I create a sales order for this product or a quotation, I don't want to keep putting 5% again and again and again and have the risk of forgetting or missing out or creating some kind of human error. So what I do is to impose this 5% charge directly on top of my product price. I'll just save it, I'll just map it. So for now we have this option of no price modifiers, but as you can create your own price modifiers, let's say packing and forwarding charge or green shipping charge is 8%, 7%. You can create those and then just map it to the product. So the next time that you're using a product within any of the modules, these things are by default saved to that product. That means you don't have to enter it again. Alright, so now let's quickly go with the size. Let's do it in centimeters. Yeah, let's do 5 by 5 since it looks like a square with maybe 0.5 centimeters of height. It's a chipset, so really how heavy can it be? The purchase rate could be $90, maybe 1,000 of these a carton, and maybe 1300 of these is minimum stock. And let's enter the keywords for search: chipset, computer, AI, tensor, G3. I mean, yeah, about it. Let's leave the prefix and suffix since we covered it in the previous product. Again, it's going to be an assembly product, right? And we didn't cover this in the last part, but this little checkbox over here, this switch, is a sale permitted switch. This means that in large scale businesses or even small businesses that are dealing in B2B, there are some products that we require to keep in stock, maybe to build other products. Like, for example, let's take an example of the phone itself, right? Google would be separately creating or storing their chipset and their camera unit for the Pixel 8 Pro, but they would not like to sell those things individually to the end customer, because nobody is just going to buy the chipset, or you don't need to only sell the camera housing unit separately. So what they do need to do is keep stock of the camera housing unit and the chipset to create the final finished product of the smartphone, which is Google Pixel 8 Pro, and then sell that. So if you don't want this to be sold, that means this doesn't show up when you're creating your sales orders or sales quotes, you can simply turn it off and it will stop showing up. That means nobody from your team has access to sell this product. Its inventory and its details can still be modified and affected throughout the activities of the modules, but it will not be allowed to be sold on an individual basis. Alright, so let's turn that off for now and I will submit it. And finally, it's been a little long, but we've come to the last part where we're gonna merge the two components, map them to our final finished product, which is the Google Pixel 8 Pro. So we add the new product, choose the category, choose the dummy category. Of course, don't forget that all of these things that are coming to you in drop downs right now on the screen, all of these things can be modified, changed, and even you can create more product categories or product codes and then choose them and organize it how you feel like. Google Pixel 8 Pro Blue Bay, I don't know, 256 GB, kind of name it like Amazon. Now what we're going to do is, now we see this component code one that we saw in the previous two products as well. But now what we need to do is, because we've created the components, now while creating the finished good, we're going to map the components. So what I'm going to do is, so to create this Google Pixel 8 Pro Blue Bay 256 GB, it requires the Pixel 8 Pro camera housing, one piece of the camera housing, and it requires one piece of the chipset. So when I put the camera housing and the chipset together, I can get the Google Pixel 8 Pro. You can even get a little complex with it, in the sense that there will be some products, I don't know, maybe like a gear mechanism where you maybe need just one thing, that is the gear housing unit, and you might need maybe 8 pieces of the gears itself. So you can play around with this. The component quantity required to build that product is also customizable. For now, we'll take one for simpler calculations. And of course, I know that the smartphone is not only the camera housing unit and the sensor. I mean, two things just to make it is unrealistic, which is why Athena gives support for up to 15 component mapping. So as and when you go filling out the components, right, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 15, you can do that. It's permitted. Alright, so now we hit the image, G3. Oh no, sorry, it's the wrong image. Cancel the upload and get in the image of the phone itself. USD. Where is it? USD, and let's put it at $1,000. Alright, let's maybe put in the discount rate at 900, and that's about it. The tax code, again, you can customize these, create more, edit the existing ones, all of that, and then choose them here once again. Last time we went over the default price modifier. I don't think we've gone over the default tax type in that much detail. But what the default tax type does is, let's say that that you're only selling your product out of the US or out of India. right? The meaning that country is kind of your dispatch country. You don't have any other warehousing or production anywhere else. So that means that every time you sell this product, right, there are going to be some taxes, right? Whether it's export tax or VAT or service or whatever it is, there are going to be some taxes on your product that have to be applied by default on top of the total product value, because those are the taxes that you might be paying to your income tax or governance bodies. So whatever that is, you can create your own tax types. You can call it, tax type 1 10%, tax type 2 12%, service charge 8%. You can create all of these tax types, which I will get to later. And once you create them, they're going to show up here and you can select them. And once you do that, every time you use your product across a sales quotation, purchase order, or sales order module, you will automatically have taxed it without the need to relook at what type of product it is, all of that, because now you're already mapping these details onto the product. Alright, so for now we won't select anything. We'll get to that later. Let's get this in. So this is what, about 17 centimeters, about, I don't know, 6.9 centimeters wide and 1 point or a centimeter in height. Let's leave it at that. Alright, now the total weight of this is about 660 grams. With the box and everything, it could probably hit almost a kilo. The purchase rate for this would be about maybe, $650. Let's say you can fit about 150 pieces per carton, because a bigger object, right? And the reorder quantity should be about, let's say, 800 pieces at all times required in your stock. A first product class, now we'll just put in keywords: babe, blue, AI, smartphone, Google. Essentially, keyword is anything that you would use to find the product within your product search, right? So if you know you're going to have a lot of products, 1,000 and above, then it's smart to start organizing your products by using keywords, by creating different product categories, different parent product codes, all of that, so that you can organize and section your products very well. Alright, so now comes the finisher, right? So the last two times what we've been doing is we've been selecting assembly component, right? But this is not true now, because if we go back up and see, we're creating the smartphone itself and mapping the two components to it. So technically this becomes a finished product that was made from assembly components. And for this, we're going to permit the sale, because this is finally the product that I have created that I want to sell. Alright, so now I'm going to submit this. And yeah, that's about it. We finally have our product with its basic price details, inventory details, and even component details that are mapped right here.